Can you hear? Can everybody hear me?
You go, James.
I can do that. So, well, good afternoon and welcome to North St. Louis County. We appreciate all of you coming out this afternoon for this very exciting, very important announcement. I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Kinder and his staff for choosing our community as the backdrop for this very exciting. And I figured by now everybody knew who I was. If you didn't know who I was, and there are a few people in the world who don't, unfortunately. My name is James Knowles. I'm the mayor of the city of Ferguson. We also have here today, thank you very much. We also have with us here today, I know that Mayor Reggie Jones of the city of Delwood is also here in the audience. I know the media can't always get it right, but we're actually standing in the city of Delwood, a very beautiful neighbor to the city of Ferguson. We do appreciate our beautiful neighbor, and we also recognize that Delwood, along with Jennings and many other neighboring communities in North County, all suffered, unfortunately, over the last 11 months from the unrest and some of the destruction that happened along West Florissant. For those of you who have never been here, you probably see West Florissant, you probably see what you saw on the news, oftentimes as a symbol of, unfortunately, the failure from Jefferson City, from the leadership we have now, the failure to protect many of the businesses that you see around here and many of the communities that we have around here. But the truth of the matter is that failure started long before last August and last November. There's a number of people, if you talk to the residents in the communities around here, there are people who will tell you that they have not had that access to educational and economic opportunities that they feel that they deserve. We've not seen the leadership in Jefferson City for many years to help provide that and help lead on these issues. But I think as we see this business and many of the other businesses and the people here in this community, we should also see this really as a symbol of hope. A symbol of hope where this community, both the residents and the businesses, can come together to support these businesses and to support this community moving forward. We've been focused on this community and on our neighboring communities on what are those issues that bring us together. What are those issues that we can all agree on? What are those issues that unite us and not those issues that divide us? Because whether you live in Berkeley, Branson, Kinloch, or Kansas City, or Kirksville, or Ferguson, or Farmington, you can all agree that we need to have access to educational opportunities for our young people. We need to have economic opportunities for people in this region and for regions all across the state of Missouri. And we need to make sure that everyone is treated fairly and have equal access to all of these things. And many people have been frustrated about not having that. And we don't need to have a commission to figure out what that is. We need a leader in Jefferson City to make those things happen for all people across the state of Missouri. And I think that leader is here today, which is the reason why I'm here today. I want to thank you again all for coming. I want to introduce to you Mr. Tony Thompson from Kwame Construction.
Of Lieutenant Governor Republican Peter Kinder. Peter Kinder served in the House of Representatives, but my mother, State Representative Betty Thompson, served there. And everyone knows is a very strong and progressive Democrat. But it's about people. It's about fairness. And ever since I've known Mr. Kinder, he has been fair and he has been a friend to the urban centers throughout the state of Missouri. St. Louis in particular, and Kansas City. When there's a need, issues on the floor that were voted, that required support from Jefferson City for the inner cities and the city of St. Louis, Peter Kinder was there. He didn't just come into St. Louis for photo ops in a specific time. He has always been there. But more importantly to me, a lot of people say, well, you know, it's not personal, it's business. They make decisions sometimes. They want to try to make excuses for business versus personal. Well, I'm here to tell you that when it comes to politics, in my personal opinion, politics is personal. And it's personal to me because my mother spent her life in politics. When she retired, Peter Kinder was the first one to have a reception in her honor. As a Democrat, she has the support of Peter Kinder. When my brother was killed, he was the first person to contact my family to show the support for my brother who was slain in the city of St. Louis. Peter Kinder has always been a friend to the African American community. And for us today, with the unrest that have taken place, we saw the breakdown in the leadership that caused some of the destruction that took place throughout the community. Hopefully, by having a leader like Peter Kinder in the House of Representatives or representing the state of Missouri, these things will not take place, because we saw all across the country how embarrassed we were as citizens of the state of Missouri, the lack of leadership that took place during that period of time. Well, I'm here again as a friend to Peter Kinder to let everyone know that I'm throwing my support, and I'm here to introduce my personal friend, Mr. Peter Kinder. Thanks,
Tony. Thanks, Tony. And thanks, Mayor Knowles. Thanks to Mayor Reggie Jones, in whose beautiful city we gather at Delwood. Now, there needs to be a mild disclaimer here as to Mayor Reggie Jones and State Representative Courtney Curtis, who just showed up. Wave your hand over there, Courtney. They're here. They're my friends. Their presence does not necessarily constitute an endorsement across party lines. They are friends, like my friend, the Reverend Tommy Pearson, another state representative from this area, in whose church, the Greater St. Mark Church, I have worshiped with his congregation. And well, welcome on this toasty afternoon. Thank you all for coming out. No one not in my position today can imagine what it means to have so many people come out on the hottest day of the year so far. I'm not going to be too long, but I want to welcome you to this. I want to welcome you to a Republican campaign like no other. I'm so grateful that everyone would come. We meet here in the Ferguson-Delwood area, and of course Ferguson became a byword for failure and lost hopes and dashed hopes and missed opportunities, and a months-long catastrophe that scarred the reputation of the St. Louis region, the metropolitan area, and the entire state of Missouri. It became, if you will, I believe, a metaphor for government failure. But I am here to tell you that we are witnessing the rebirth of Ferguson, we are witnessing the rebirth of Delwood and this whole part of North County, and we are all going to be a part of that renaissance and that rebirth. Because government failed so badly from and after the 9th of August, throughout August, the rest of the month, throughout September, and then again in November, we have a lot of credibility to regain in state government. Let's face it, the chief executive of Missouri state government let us all down. Yeah. So at the heart of my campaign today, I will offer to the people of Missouri over the next 16 months a new covenant. And at the heart of that new covenant is this pledge. No more Fergusons, never again. Never again. Never again will we allow our streets to be undefended and our businesses to be undefended. Never again will we turn over those streets to the criminals, the vandals, the looters, and those who throw firebombs. The damage was real. It was long-lasting. And I say never again. Never again will we send out first responders to do their dangerous work, having been told that they'll be defended, and then there's no defense at all for them. We cannot ask first responders to come out and undergo gunfire, gunshots like they did on the night of the 24th of November. But in the midst of tragedy, in the midst of adversity, we saw that we were drawn out the best, the very finest that we have in our people in the state of Missouri. And with that in mind, I would like to cite to you the example of Reverend Eddie Andrews and his wife Janice, and I just saw them come under this umbrella right here. I had a bit of a telephone acquaintance with Janice Andrews before, but had never met them and never had the distinct pleasure of meeting them until I had lunch with them up here in Ferguson on Friday. And I sat down at the table and immediately knew that I was in the presence of two of the finest people I've ever known. Now, last year was a year of tremendous adversity for the Andrews. First of all, Janice Janice lost her father early in the year. Her father was a minister, like her husband, was a minister of the Christian gospel. And he pastored churches in East St. Louis and throughout the Metro East area. If you want a lesson from the 25th chapter of the book of Matthew, there it is, the least of these. And so she suffered the loss of her father last year, only to have the devastation that came on the night of Monday, the 24th of November. You see, 3 years earlier, Janice had opened a shop called Hidden Treasures. Hidden Treasures was an antiques and collectibles shop and jewelry shop. She was next door to a Little Caesar's Pizza just up the road. They were firebombed. The place was burned. The whole strip center lost. And they woke up the next morning to the source of their livelihood in ashes, their dreams in ashes. 100% loss of the building and the inventory. This family of 5, they have 3 grown sons, all working in that business called Hidden Treasures, were reduced by hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses. The insurance payments covered maybe slightly over 10%. So that's their fate the last 10 months. But I want you to know they told me on Friday at lunch that just this last week, the walls started to go up on their business and they will rebuild. And before the end of this year, Hidden Treasures will open its doors again and they'll have a steady stream of income, and we should all patronize them and all the other business owners. If you're a Ferguson business owner, small or any kind of business owner or property owner, would you raise your hand, or here in Delwood or Ferguson? Let's applaud all these people. There's one more part of the Reverend Eddie and Janice Andrews' story that you should know, and they didn't tell me. But a friend of theirs told me that out of their drastically reduced circumstances, when they got the news, as we all did on the 17th of June, about the awful fate of 9 Christians at Bible study and prayer in Charleston, South Carolina, being murdered by a bigoted racist, they, out of their reduced circumstances, made their generous contribution to the Mother Emmanuel on the 9th of August. Michael Brown had 2 months earlier graduated from Normandy High School, which is one of our unaccredited school districts in Missouri. That is, the state of Missouri officially says that is a failed school district. For too long, we have allowed mostly minority children to be trapped in failing schools, and I am perhaps the leading advocate of giving parents more school choice, more parental freedom to choose any school, on the platform that a one-size-fits-all public system designed 150 years ago when we were in agrarian society does not offer us the answers we need today in the 21st century. And I want to go into failed school districts and save those children who are right now on one of 3 tracks. And this comes from a school board member who told me, Governor, he said, do you realize we're preparing these children for one of 3 fates? Either a lifetime of poverty, or a trip to the penitentiary, or an early trip to the cemetery. That's happening on my watch. It's happening in our state, and I say it's going on long enough, and we need better schools, and we need them in this neighborhood and in this part of this county. And I say to you, as another part of my new covenant, I will work with Democrats and Republicans and independents, any and all of good faith, to bring that about, and my record shows that. Now, we have come through, and I'm nearing the end. I know you'll be glad to hear. We have come through some rough campaigns, and I've been in some. I've been in some campaigns where the tactic of the opposition was get buckets of slime and dump as much as they can over the heads of various opponents. And I say the time for that kind of negative campaigning in Missouri is over, and we need to move on to campaigns on the issues. I wish to associate myself with the remarks of my friend Tom Schweik, the late Tom Schweik, our state auditor, who decried the same thing. Tom, wherever you are, sir, I know you're up in heaven. I'm with you. I'm with you, Tom. And I'm with the people who supported Tom Schweik in saying, enough of the negative campaigning. Let's campaign on the issues. Let's not try to destroy individuals to make a political point or win a political contest. And in that spirit, I say to my fellow Missourians that I will offer over the long course of this campaign a comprehensive proposal for ethics reform in our government. It's time we had that on the law books as well, and I know good people of goodwill from all parties will join me in that. So we've got to meet the challenges of healthcare, education, a jobs climate that once again makes our young people want to come here instead of go off to Dallas or Atlanta or Charlotte or Tempe, Arizona. We want our talented young people to stay here, don't we? Yeah. And that's not a partisan issue. The question is, how do you bring it about? And the current leadership is not getting it done. Now, I want to cite you to one other thing, and this is sort of a downer, but it is what one area police chief called the Ferguson effect in recent months. On Tuesday of the week just passed, the crime statistics were released for the city of St. Louis. Did you see them? Homicides up 58.6% year to date. That's in just a few months. 4 categories of violent crime up all double digits. Those being robberies, burglaries, aggravated assaults, and vehicle thefts. Now, in the face of that explosion of violent crime, my fellow Missourians, the chief law enforcement officer of this state is asking you for a promotion. Put that issue out there. And we will talk about that over the next 15 or 16 months. The current leadership, if you want to call it leadership, is not getting it done. And Missourians in every part of this state, to whom I will take my campaign, in every corner, are saying it's not getting it done. I want to thank some people who came an awful long way, too. One is Dwayne Lester, who came all the way from northwest Missouri, practically up by Omaha. And are the bakers here from the Osho? Yes. The bakers from the Osho. For those of you who don't know where the Osho is, it's practically in Oklahoma. 300 miles one way. I'm very grateful to one and all. I see a Missouri that is bright with promise, a bright future for us all if we work together. And this crowd today shows that we can work together and come together for a united cause, in a good cause. I see a Missouri with more jobs, better jobs, rising incomes. I see a Missouri in which St. Louis, by the way, is not the largest metropolitan area in the nation without Uber or Lyft or a ride-sharing service. We ought to have Uber and Lyft. And there should be no protectionism by a metropolitan taxi commission that keeps them out. And I've called them out. I'm not the most popular guy with the taxi commission. So thank you one and all. Eddie and Janice Anderson, meet them before you leave. Offer them some encouragement. They have a GoFundMe site that still has a ways to go, and I'm going to help them with that. God bless each and every one of you. Let's go forward together from here, united, to every corner of the state. Yes,